Hey, what's going on, everyone? So in this section, we're going to talk about how you can use LinkedIn polls to create content. Now, this is actually one of the easiest ways to create content because it doesn't really require too much thought, energy, and when it comes to writing, you're just asking a question to your audience, right? So here's how it's going to work, right? So LinkedIn polls is a way for you to ask questions relevant to your prospects. And what I like to do is I like to subtly agitate a pain to create an opportunity to start a conversation. And again, when you're creating content, your goal is to get people engaged so that when you send them a message later and you're trying to book a meeting, well, you actually have something to talk about, right? And so that is one of the secrets of LinkedIn polls. So of course you can just do random polls and get people to, vote and talk, but I find that if you're going to do it, you might as well talk about a pain and create an opportunity to start a conversation. So I'll give you an example, right? So a LinkedIn poll that I recently did a week ago is I just said, hey, favorite way to generate leads, and then use the hashtags, and then I put in the some options like cold email, LinkedIn, cold calling, other, right? So far 33 people liked it, 12 comments, and yeah, so we got 11,000 people who actually saw this poll, which is actually quite a lot of people to see a poll. And we have 400, almost 500 votes, right? So a lot of people are actually voting in this. Now, essentially, what I can do is, all these people that voted, liked it, I can kind of follow up with them and be like, hey, just curious, what's your favorite way to generate leads? Or, are you having any trouble generating leads? And, whatever the case is, right? And it can start a conversation. So what you're doing is you're asking a question that enables you to further the conversation, or, through a direct message. And again, because when you go into this, you can see exactly who liked it, who commented. You want to ask questions, usually polarizing questions. The more polarizing, where people have to make a decision, are going to be better for engagement, right? And you want to ask questions that agitate a prospect's pain. So another one you can actually do is, for example, let's say you're selling some kind of lead generation services, right? Or maybe you're selling sales consulting, and you could say like, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to generating sales? Is it generating leads? Is it closing clients? Is it negotiating, right? And people will select an option. If I did something like that, well, if someone says their most difficult or greatest challenge is generating leads, then I can follow up with say, oh, just curious, you voted on my poll, or you gave this poll a like, and I was just curious to know what was your biggest challenge when it came to generating leads or generating revenue. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, I saw that poll. We're having trouble generating leads. We need help with cold email. And then boom, right? You got a conversation going right there just from somebody, voting on your poll. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is going to show you how this poll works when you're actually on the thing. So when you're on your LinkedIn profile and you're on your profile where you see, where people are looking at your stuff, you can see people who have viewed your thing, right? Your content, and you kind of get an idea like who's looking at this, where are they from, but you can't really see, who they specifically are quite yet. If you go into, let's say, okay, so if you go into the likes, you can see exactly who liked it. So you can message each one of these people if you wanted to. You can also go into the comments and you see who's leaving a comment, and you can message them directly, right? So this person says, after taking your course, cold calling so much easier. So I could follow up with him and see if he needs any help. And the most powerful thing, actually, in my opinion, is this. So when you click on the votes, I have 490 votes. You see every single person that votes, right? This is the crazy part. So over here, 126 people voted cold email, 200 LinkedIn, 133 cold calling, and then 37 other. And so what you can do, for example, is you can say, for others, 37 people, and you kind of go through each of their profiles, see who they are, and you say like, hey, look, I saw you voted in my poll, and you pressed on other, so I'm just curious to know, how exactly are you generating leads? And then if you're selling some kind of, software, consulting, whatever it is, you can see how they're generating leads and see if they need any help. Now, if you're doing cold email, maybe you offer a service about, how to optimize cold emails and get better response rates. And you can say, hey, I saw you voted on my poll, and it looks like, your favorite way to generate leads is actually through cold email. Curious to know how that was going and if you need help with anything, right? Especially when it came to automation or improving response rate, whatever it is. So, depending on how you do your poll, these creates different type of conversations based on what people are voting. So If you say, like, let's say, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to generating sales? Is it lead generation? Is it closing deals? Is it presentation? And if people select, let's say, for example, they have trouble generating leads, you'll see exactly who has trouble generating leads. You send them all a message and say, hey, look, I saw you vote on my poll and it looks like your biggest challenge is generating leads. Just curious to know, what's your situation looking like? What have you tried before? And then do you want to have a conversation over the phone to see if it makes sense for us to work together in any way, right? And so that's pretty much how you would use a poll. And I personally think it's one of the easiest ways to generate content because you're literally just, asking a question and creating some options. And right now, LinkedIn's giving polls a lot of engagement, right? 11,000 views on a post is quite a bit for me, especially because at the time of this recording, I have 10,000 followers. So, I'm getting more views than I have followers, right? So they're pushing it probably to a lot of people who follow the sales prospecting hashtag, business development hashtag, or anyone who's interested in sales training. So yeah, polls definitely one of the easiest ways to create content. So I recommend giving it a try, seeing how it works for you. And so with that said, that's everything for creating polls on LinkedIn, and I'll see you in the next lesson.